1. Intro. What if the peace you're chasing is quietly making you weaker instead? Most people assume control equals safety, like holding tighter keeps things stable. But the Stoics saw something deeper, maybe even uncomfortable to accept. The more you try to control life, the more life starts controlling you back. If you want grounded, timeless wisdom for modern pressure and constant noise, subscribe to Legacy of Thinkers, because what comes next might shift everything. 2. Define the problem. We're taught, slowly and constantly, that control equals stability. Plan everything, anticipate outcomes. Stay ahead, stay ready, stay in charge. And for a while, it feels like it works. You build routines, set clear goals, manage your time, predict reactions. But then something small shifts. A delayed message, a missed opportunity, an unexpected reaction appears. And suddenly, the illusion cracks. The real issue isn't unpredictability. It's believing life shouldn't be unpredictable. So when things don't follow your plan, you don't adjust, you resist instead. You tighten your grip, overthink conversations, even ones that haven't happened yet. You replay moments again and again, trying to rewrite them in your head, as if that could somehow change reality. Even though deep down, you know it can't. And the more you do this, the more exhausted you quietly become. Control turns into a hidden anxiety, not because you have it, but because you keep chasing it in places it never existed. You try to control opinions, outcomes not yet reached, even emotions that naturally rise and fall. And when they don't obey you, you call it failure. But it isn't failure. It's misunderstanding ownership, a misunderstanding of what was ever yours. Over time, tension builds quietly, just beneath the surface of your life. You might look calm outside, but inside, you're negotiating uncertainty daily. And the harder you force clarity, the further it seems to drift away. 3. Stoic insight. This is where Stoic thought shifts everything. It becomes more than just philosophy. It becomes relief, something practical, something you can actually live with. Because Stoics didn't teach control, not in the way people assume. They didn't say control the world better. They said stop confusing yourself with it. At the center of Stoic wisdom is one simple distinction. Some things are within your power, and some things are not. Your judgment, choices, effort, attitude, those belong to you. But reputation, outcomes, timing, other people's behavior, and the twists of fortune, those were never yours. Suffering begins when you blur that line. When you expect certainty from uncertainty. When you demand obedience from life, and call it stress when it refuses. Lucan might remind you quietly, peace doesn't come from mastering events. It comes from mastering your reaction to them. That's the Stoic shift. Not, how do I control everything? But, how do I stay steady when nothing obeys me? The first creates tension. The second creates freedom. At first, it feels too simple, almost like it can't be enough. But lived honestly, it changes everything. You stop measuring your worth by things outside your control. A different strength begins forming. Something quieter, but more stable. You stop chasing approval like oxygen. Stop treating delays like personal insults. You stop reading setbacks as attacks, as if life is working against you. Instead, you return inward, to the only place power exists, your response. And that response isn't passive. Stoicism isn't resignation or numbness. It's clarity, disciplined clarity. It's showing up fully, acting with integrity, while letting go of guaranteed outcomes. The Stoic isn't careless. The Stoic becomes precise. Focus on what can be governed. Release what cannot, again and again. And something surprising happens. Life may not get easier, but you become less fragile within it. The storm still comes. Uncertainty still arrives. People still disappoint. Plans still fall apart. But your inner life is no longer chained to all of it. You begin to see clearly. The loss of control wasn't the tragedy. The real tragedy was believing you needed control to feel peace. That's the Stoic insight. Freedom isn't controlling more. It's needing less control to remain whole. 4. The reversal. The reversal begins quietly. When you stop asking one question, how do I control this? And instead, ask something different. What is actually mine to carry here? It sounds small, almost insignificant, but it shifts everything emotionally. Because most frustration doesn't come from effort itself. It comes from attaching yourself to what effort can't guarantee. You can prepare well and still be misunderstood. You can love sincerely and still not be chosen. You can act correctly and still face the wrong outcome. This is where people break. Not always from cruelty, but from expecting certainty in exchange for effort or virtue. The Stoic reversal rejects that idea. It says clearly, you're not here to secure the universe. You're here to govern yourself within it. That's the turning point. The moment things begin to shift. You were never meant to control everything, just to meet life with steadiness, clarity, and self-command. Many confuse control with strength, but that's not real strength. Real strength is staying grounded when things don't align with you. That's why this path feels strange, even uncomfortable at first. It doesn't flatter your ego. It doesn't promise perfect outcomes. It offers something more honest, something harder, but real. Peace isn't the reward for control. It's what appears when control isn't demanded. So the reversal isn't passive. It's deeply active, in a different way. You still prepare, still act, still speak carefully and love fully. But inside, something loosens. You stop tying identity to results. Stop turning disappointment into wounds. You stop treating uncertainty like an enemy blocking your breath. And in that space, a quieter freedom appears. You do your best without worshiping outcomes. You care deeply without being consumed by fear. You enter difficulty without demanding control. That's the reversal. Life doesn't become controllable. It becomes more peaceful. Because you need control less. 5. Modern application. This idea only becomes real when it enters ordinary moments. It sounds wise in silence. But life isn't silent for long. It shows up in traffic, relationships, deadlines, disappointment, small frustrations. In all those invisible moments, your mind tries grabbing control again. Take work, for example. People say they want success. But maybe what they want is certainty. They want meetings to go perfectly, clients to respond well, bosses to notice, numbers to align. timing to fall into place. And when one piece breaks, frustration quietly floods in. Not always because effort failed, but because peace depended on results. The Stoic approach is simple, but honestly, not easy. Prepare well, act skillfully. Let outcomes reveal themselves, without making them define you. You control discipline, clarity, professionalism, honesty in how you show up. You don't control markets, moods, hidden dynamics or timing. Once accepted deeply, work feels lighter, not less serious. You still care. You just stop bleeding over outcomes. Now think about relationships. This is where control hurts most, because it hides behind love, loyalty, and fear. You want understanding without explanation, consistency without deviation. You want them to choose you as you choose them. And when they don't, the mind scrambles quietly, replaying messages, inventing meanings, predicting endings that haven't happened, trying to manage someone internally. Because uncertainty feels unbearable. But no thought can control another person. You can speak honestly, listen deeply, love with maturity, set boundaries, expectations, standards. But you can't force alignment. And the harder you try, the more anxious and exhausted you become. Stoic application isn't distance, it's responsibility. Show up fully, without abandoning yourself to control others. The same applies internally, to your own thoughts and emotions. Many believe they should control everything, every thought, every feeling. They judge anxiety, anger, sadness, as if they're failures. But Stoicism sees it differently. More precise, less harsh. Thoughts can appear uninvited. Emotions can rise before logic. What matters is what follows. Do you feed it, believe it instantly, or turn it into identity? Or do you pause, observe, respond with discipline instead? That's where self-command lies. Not in prevention, but in response. Even small inconveniences matter. Delays, rude comments, broken plans. They seem minor, but they expose dependency on smoothness. We say we want peace, but often want uninterrupted preference instead. Stoic practice challenges that gap. Can you stay clear, decent, steady, when things don't cooperate? Can you feel friction without turning it into drama? This doesn't make you cold. It makes you stable. Less reactive, not less human. Maturity isn't controlling variables. It's building inner posture, one that survives unstable conditions. In modern life, that's rare power, because most people are pulled constantly by noise, opinions, delays, emotions. The Stoic answer isn't escape. It's selective ownership. Own your effort, your words, your standards, your attention, your response. And then let life be life. Not from indifference, but from understanding the difference. Caring deeply isn't clinging tightly. One is guided by wisdom. The other is fear in disguise. That's modern Stoicism. Full sincerity without dependency. 6. Stoic practice. Stoic practice begins with one question. Quiet, simple, but powerful. What is within my control, right now? Not tomorrow, not theoretically. Just right now. That pause interrupts suffering more than you might expect. Because most spirals begin when the mind rushes outward, toward outcomes, people, future fears or past regrets. Stoicism brings you back before you lose control entirely. In practice, separate action from attachment. Do what needs to be done. Send the message. Prepare fully. Apologize when needed. Make the decision clearly. But before and after, remind yourself. Results are not fully yours. Your responsibility is effort, clarity, honesty, self-command. A daily habit helps here. Simple, but surprisingly effective. When stress rises, name the situation in just one sentence. Then divide it mentally into two clear columns. What is mine and what is not mine? Tone, effort, patience. My next choice. Not mine. Reactions, outcomes, timing, opinions beyond reach. This restores proportion, brings you back to solid ground. Another practice, restraint before reaction. When provoked, pause slightly. Don't treat first feelings as final truth. Delay the impulse. Breathe once, just once. Let emotion arrive without giving it control. The goal isn't less feeling. It's less domination by it. Over time, strength builds quietly. Not loud, not dramatic, but dependable and steady. You stop waiting for ease before allowing calm. You practice calm inside life as it already is. 7. Reflection. Take a quiet moment and ask yourself honestly, what are you still trying to control? That was never yours? Not abstractly, but in your actual daily life. Is it someone's opinion, a future result, or how something should unfold? Notice the energy spent holding something that doesn't hold back. Now imagine releasing just one thing. Just one. Not giving up effort, but letting go of outcome demands. What would that feel like? Maybe lighter, clearer, maybe even unfamiliar, but more honest. This is where growth becomes real. Not in big moments, but in small returns. Again and again. Back to what is yours. Your attention, your choices, your response. Each pause instead of reaction. Each act done with clarity builds something steady inside you. Something harder to shake. You don't need total control to experience peace. You just need to remember where control begins and where it ends. If this reflection resonated, share your thoughts below. And if you want more insights like this, subscribe to Legacy of Thinkers. If this reflection stayed with you, continue the practice tomorrow.